Hey guys, Station X here, and today we're going to be talking about PS5 games, specifically my favorites on the system. Figuring since it's the new year now and we're past Christmas and most of you guys either were able to get a PS5 or something around that sort, let's look at some of the best games that you could possibly get for the system, or at least, in my opinion. Like, I can't stress this enough. Like, this top 5 video is more so my opinion than me saying, like, these are the best games and no other games are better than this. I know I'm leaving out, obviously, when you're talking about 5 games, you're going to be leaving out quite a bit of content there that could easily be put on anybody's top 5 list. That's going to be like the warning for this video. Like, this is my opinion. If there are any favorites that I missed out on this list, feel free to just let me know in the comments and give me your top 5 on, like, for the PS5. Like, what are your top 5 PS5 games that you enjoy? But without further ado, let us just jump right into my top 5 favorite games on the PS5. Starting at number 5, I'm going to talk about Maneater. Now, this one's a little bit of a strange choice for someone's top 5, but this was a kind of game that I just fell in love with because of how quirky it is. It's a game where you play as a shark. It doesn't get any more simple than that. And so basically, the whole premise of it is that you're playing as a shark going into these different areas on a coastline somewhere, and you're just basically going to each area, evolving your shark, just getting them bigger, stronger, and faster to the point where you could kind of terrorize the local town. Each area you go to, you have a bunch of different mini objectives you have to do before getting the big boss guy at the end of it. Like, there's 10 people that are like 10 hunters per se that try to hunt you down and get you out of there, but your goal is to eliminate them. Basically, you're trying to be the megalodon that doesn't exist anymore. But this is just a fantastic game. They label it as a shark RPG, which is really fun. So, like, there's all different types of skins and stuff you can put on it, which is not purchasable. They're like ones that you can actually just earn. And there's a lot of different little fun collectibles and stuff. The characters are pretty funny. It's not a super in-depth game. It's not like that enriching, like, AAA experience. But, I mean, this just has a lot of heart and soul into it. I just think it was really funny. Besides, you're playing as a shark. I can't stress that enough. You're playing as a shark, and I think that's awesome. Moving into the number 4 spot, we have Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. Now, I was really debating this being on my list because originally I was actually gonna put this like for PS4 because I played the PS4 version, not the 5. But I wanted to include Intergrade for a couple reasons. One, if you're gonna buy Final Fantasy today, really the Intergrade version's gonna be the better version for you to buy just because it has more content. There's really not that much of a difference between the PS5 version and the 4 version. So it's not like if you played the PS4 version, you're like, oh man, look, you're missing out on a lot of stuff. They're kind of interchangeable. The only difference is this extra piece right here, Intergrade. So I felt like I was able to still say like this is a good game for PS5 even though I played it on the 4. But I mean, who hasn't heard of Final Fantasy VII? Obviously it's based off the PS1 version. I say based off of because there are quite a bit of difference between this and the PS1 version because it's a remake. But of course you play as everybody's favorite Final Fantasy character, Cloud. I don't know if that's everybody's favorite, but he's certainly one of mine. But it's quite honestly a very beautiful game, and it does combine like traditional RPG elements with Final Fantasy 15's combat, which I adored Final Fantasy 15. So that got me some brownie points right there. And I mean, everybody looks beautiful here. I mean, Sephiroth just looks scrumptibly umptious. You got all these other characters that just look so good in this new remake compared to their PS1 counterparts all these years, later. And so this is just an awesome game. If you really enjoy Final Fantasy, even if you're not a big fan of them changing aspects of the original, if you're okay with that and can move past it, this is an awesome time. Now, next up on number 3, we have Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm gonna state this right now. I am a huge Marvel fan. I'm not as super familiar with comics of Marvel characters, although like I do try to study them a bit because obviously I don't have the original comics on me. I do like look up the information and stuff whenever I'm really interested in the character, like say Spiderman, Iron Man, Captain America, stuff like that. But Guardians I was never really into until the movies came out, and this I think is the closest thing to like taking the spirit of the movies and putting it in another form. Like they've done another Guardians of the Galaxy game, like the Telltale one, and I don't think that one was as good as this. I mean, those characters are awesome. Peter, Rocket, Groot, Drax, and Gamora I think are just the best group on the face of the planet as far as superheroes go, because they're just so funny, so dynamic, and I just think that they have such great chemistry with each other that it's just a blast. I mean, this game is caked with personality, specifically Peter's personality, because you're mainly playing as him. It's the one gripe I have is I wish you could have areas where you're playing as all of them and you could experience different aspects of the game as all of them, but I understand that they weren't trying to overextend it here. I mean, considering it's made by the same people who did Marvel's Avengers, and so I was really doubting this game being good, but it is good. It's not online for one, which is awesome, and two, there's no like all this extra DLC garbage. It's literally just a fun story that you have dialogue options that change the way the story plays out depending on what you do. Like you could say certain things to certain characters and they may feel a certain way about what you say, and so, or certain decisions that you do, and the interactions between everybody is just so much fun. I highly suggest, like, if you're a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy specifically, checking this out, because it's just such a fun time. At number 2, we have Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. Now, I love Star Wars. I love Legos. Both have been a part of my childhood, and the Lego series in particular, I've always been a big fan of because they're very simple games. It's not something that's, again, super complex, say like a Final Fantasy VII or whatever, but they're just games that you could just turn your brain off for a bit and just enjoy some classic fun. Now, also, another thing that was really fun about these games is just the fact that I was able to play them with my brother back in the day, and that's something we used to do, is play Pirates of the Caribbean, the Lego one, all the time. So this one combining obviously my love for Legos and just Lego games with Star Wars. I mean, Lego Star Wars is probably the most famous Lego IP out of all the different ones I've done, and so this kind of being the culmination of all that, because they've made so many. This combines all the different movies that you could possibly think of. Now, while it doesn't do the other stuff like the side movies like Rogue One, Solo, or it doesn't do Mandalorian or whatever, which I would love to see them do if they ever did, but I mean, what you get right here is just already jam-packed with a lot of stuff. It almost feels like an open world Lego game in a sense, because there's so much stuff to explore and unlock and other things like that. It's definitely a lot bigger in scale compared to Pirates of the Caribbean. But this is just a very fantastic, fun game. I mean, visually it looks great, and also it has full voice lines and stuff, so you don't have to worry about, say, them going like blah 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 and just having to read subtitles. You could actually have them speak lines from the movie. Of course, it's not ripped from the movie, they re-record it, but if you still like having that classic Lego blah 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 blah, then you could switch that on and you could have it that way. They have the option, which is always just so nice. The one thing I will say that I'm a little annoyed with is when you do play split screen, and this is very minor, normally in a Lego game, I think most Lego games, if not all of them, had this thing where like, if you're next to your buddy, the screen's not going to split. I mean, it's right there, you're both in the same area, you're not going to need that screen to be split down in the middle. Of course, when you say you go off and do your thing and your buddy does his own thing, that's when the screen would split, because obviously you're two different areas. But whenever you came together, it would always go right back to where it was. In this game, at least when I first played it back when it first launched, it did not do that. I have not tried the split screen since, but I was very annoyed that they did not allow you to just combine the screen if you were both together. It was like, you both get your own screen and deal with it. And I'm like, that's so annoying. I hate that. If you're in the same area, it really shouldn't matter. but especially since it's a third-person game. But another thing too is there is no online functionality here, which is kind of a bummer. Like the Complete Saga, which had 1 through 6, had online multiplayer, so you could play online with a friend and stuff. And so that's also very annoying. And again, something I don't know if they fixed. Hoping they do at some point, because that would make this game so much better than it already is. I already think it's like a 9.5, so this would give me a perfect 10 for me if they had the online multiplayer. Even if the split screen issue was still there, like this would be a 10 out of 10 game for me personally. But yeah, if you're a big fan of Star Wars and Lego, just check this out. And now we are at number 1. The number 1 most hyped game for PS5 for me personally is Spider-Man Miles Morales. This is the game I bought day one, day and day with my PlayStation. And I bought the Ultimate Launch Edition, or I guess now known as the Ultimate Edition, with the Spider-Man Remastered. And so I am just a huge Spider-Man fan. Out of all the Marvel characters, out of all characters in general, out of any piece of entertainment made ever, Spider-Man has been my number 1. Whether it be Miles or Peter or any kind of Spider person. I mean, the original one is my favorite. But I just love the story. I love Spider-Man as a character. I love all of it. And the original Spider-Man game just won my heart over so much. It just warmed my heart, put it in a lock and key, and took me out to dinner. Like, that's how good this game was. And for Miles Morales, while not a full game, it's only an expansion, it's very short, and I mean, like, despite all that, it's still really good. I mean, the Spider-Man Miles Morales isn't just a copy and paste of Spider-Man. It does carry a lot of stuff over, but it gives it Miles' personality. Obviously, Miles is a different person, and that was the whole premise of the story, is that Miles is not Peter. And so that literally trickles down to every single aspect of the game, where, you know, it's still very familiar. You're not going to be playing a completely different game just because Miles is the main character, but you're going to see a lot of his personality in stuff like the menus, the different aspects, like simply like not having J. Jonah Jameson, but you have like other podcast stuff playing in the background, which I think is really funny. It's definitely more of like you definitely feel more of like a teenager than you do when you're playing as Peter, because obviously Peter is past college. Like, he has done all the, you know, growing pains of Spider-Man. Like, he's got it down. He's got it locked down at this point. Here you get to kind of experience that whole training wheels mode sort of deal with Miles, you know, being a brand new Spider-Man, kind of going through those growing pains again. So you kind of see that just with a different character this time. Although I feel like with anybody, that experience is going to be very similar. And of course, he's got his own personal bad guy, and you get to see other classic villains that were side characters that Miles is associated with. The game is just super cool and awesome. And if you're a huge Marvel fan, a huge Spider-Man fan, or just a huge fan of games in general, pick this up. I mean, this recently went on PC, so you could also buy it on PC if you need to. So it's more accessible now, which is awesome. But still, just like, this is one of the best, if not the best, for me personally on the PS5. And that'd be it for my top 5. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with my picks? Do you think these are worthy of that top 5? And please tell me your personal top 5 in the comments below. And as always, if you're a fan of my channel or like my content, giving a like and subscribe certainly helps me out. So I've been Station X, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.